The town of Sylvanus was a place where secrets roamed freely in daylight. Dressed like respectability, its streets were narrow, cobbled, ancient. Its people, polite but cold. Whispers floated through the alleys faster than the church bell rang. Everyone knew everyone, or thought they did. And so when Elijah Grady returned after 11 years, people did not welcome him with open arms. They stared, murmured, and when his name was spoken in shops or at the Sunday market, it was almost always followed by silence or the word prison. Elijah had once been the golden boy, top of his class, son of the preacher, the kind of boy everyone believed would become somebody, until the night he nearly killed a man in a drunken fight and vanished from Sylvanus under a shroud of shame and police lights. He came back because he had nowhere else to go. No job, no family. Both parents had passed while he was locked away. No faith. He had lost that too in the concrete silence of his cell. But something, a memory, a whisper, maybe even God, had told him to return. So he did. He took up shelter in his father's abandoned church. The roof half caved in and the altar cracked. He swept the dust, repaired the pews, lit a candle each night, even though he didn't know if anyone was listening. And then she appeared. Her name was Miriam. She came every Tuesday at sunset, slipping quietly into the back pew. She wore long skirts, kept her eyes low, and always held a worn, leather-bound journal. At first she didn't speak. Elijah would nod at her presence. She'd nod back. Silent rituals. But on the 4th Tuesday she stayed after. "I'm sorry," she said softly, her voice like water over stone. "I didn't mean to intrude." "You're not?" he replied, surprised to hear his own voice sound gentle. "No one comes here anymore." She smiled, a sad smile. Maybe that's why I do." They began talking slowly, words like small offerings. She told him she came to write, to sit in silence, to feel near something holy again. He told her bits of his story. Not everything, not yet, but enough. She never judged him. In fact, she seemed to understand shame in a way that made his own feel less isolating. Weeks passed. Their conversations deepened about pain, regret, healing. They read scripture together sometimes, always drawn to the broken parts, Job, Psalms, the woman who touched the hem of his robe. One day, as rain tapped against the cracked stained glass, Miriam finally told her truth. "I had a child once," she whispered. "I was 17. It wasn't by choice." Elijah's throat tightened. "They made me leave. My family, the school, the church. I gave her up. I still don't know if she's alive." There were no tears in her voice, only years. "I've been running ever since," she said, "trying to find God in places he doesn't seem to be." Elijah reached for her hand. She didn't pull away. "You're not the only one who carries a cross," he said quietly. "But maybe we weren't meant to carry them alone." That night, Elijah knelt before the altar for the first time in over a decade. No demands, no apologies, just a whisper. "Use me." They began restoring the church together, not just the walls and beams, but its purpose. Slowly, people began trickling in. Old faces, curious hearts, broken souls. Elijah preached not with fire, but with scars. He spoke of redemption not as a theology, but as a path walked daily, one muddy step at a time. And Miriam sang. She had a voice like morning, soft, sure, redemptive. Together they turned the place into something living again. A home for the forgotten. A temple for the wounded. One Sunday after service, Miriam stood before the congregation, trembling. "I have to confess something," she said, voice quivering. "I'm not what the world would call pure. I've made choices. I've lived in shadows. But I know now." She looked at Elijah, tears in her eyes. "That God doesn't ask for perfection. He asks for surrender." And the room, full of silent watchers, broke into gentle applause. Not judgment, grace. Months later they married. Not in a cathedral, not with fanfare, but under the broken cross they had restored together. And as Elijah slipped the ring on her finger, he whispered, "This is not a beginning. This is a resurrection." Moral of the story: the weight of our shame does not disqualify us from love. It prepares us to understand it deeply. God doesn't search for those who have never fallen, but for those who dare to rise again, hand in hand. Redemption is never too late. And sometimes the most sacred places are built from ruins. Thank you for sticking around until the end of the story. Please leave a like, comment, and follow. It helps me a lot to continue creating content. Share the story link with other people who need to listen too. Thank you.